What's up, guys? My name is Anthony and I don't have an intro, but I do have yet another interesting life story for you guys. Now this time I'm going to be telling you the story of when I almost flunked out of government class, but I ended up getting enough extra credit to pass with an A by prank calling. Now let me give you a little background on this whole story before we actually get started. While taking this class, it was right around the time that all the Floridian representatives for the House and Congress were being elected, so that was really a big deal, and that was something that we talked about almost every single day in this government class. So I'm going to add on one other thing. Though history is my favorite class I take each year, I am a big history buff. Anything that has to do with history, I am instantly interested in. But this government class just wasn't cutting it for me. I wasn't learning much. I didn't really feel like I was learning anything from the teacher. And it was just one of those classes that I just really didn't look forward to. And honestly, I kind of just slept through it every single day. So, one day I go to class and we sit down and all these kids next to me are opening their books and looking like they're studying. So I tap the kid next to me and I say, "Hey, why are you opening, do we have a test or something next week?" And he looks at me and he laughs and he looks back at his book. I tap him again, I'm like, "No, for real, what's up?" And he looks at me, he goes, "Dude, we have a test today. It's the second biggest of the year." Now, my stomach just kind of dropped because my parents don't like it at all whenever I get bad grades. Both of my parents are very, very smart people, and they're both like accountants and CPAs. I'm not sure if those are the same things, but yeah, they get really mad at me if I get bad grades. So I was like, "Oh my God, I'm screwed." So I just clenched my teeth and waited for the test to come around, and when it did, that just confirmed my fears that I was in a lot of trouble. I didn't know the answer to a single one of these questions, and like I said, this was the second biggest test of the year. Now, being the absolute idiot that I am, I decided that possibly she might appreciate my being a smartass on the test and let me get by with at least a couple of points. Now, let me tell you what my definition of being a smartass on a test is. Basically, what I did was anytime I had absolutely no idea to the answer to a question, which for this test was every single question, I would just write in a funny answer or an answer that I would have found funny and hope to God that the teacher found it humorous as well. Now, I remember one answer quite vividly. The question was, define what a quorum is. Now, I had absolutely no idea what a quorum is, so I put in 3 or more representatives getting together for fun, happy times. Wrong answer. Let's just say that she didn't like that answer enough that she called my parents and pretty much told them that I did so poorly on this test that it would be next to impossible for me to get even a B in the class for the year. Now, my parents were outraged at me, and so they asked the teacher if there was anything that I could do to earn some extra credit to possibly boost my grade up a little bit. Alright, now before I go any further with this story, I just want to say this. I do not want the comment section of this video to consist of people arguing which is better, Democrats or Republicans. Let's just say that they both have their ups and downs and they're both good in their own sense. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to throw this out there. My teacher was very, very heavily Republican, and she said that if I went to the Republican rally to help call people and tell them to vote, that would give me the extra credit necessary to make up for the test. Now, basically, what this was me calling people and saying, "Hello, my name is underscore. I am calling to remind you that election day is underscore, and I hope to be able to count on your vote for underscore." Simply replace the underscores for your name, the date the election day is, and the people that you want us to vote for. So before I had the chance to talk it over with my parents, they happily accepted and told me that I was going. Now, there was something that kind of made me a little angry to begin with. It was on a Saturday from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and that day I was supposed to go to a football game with my friend. So that kind of set the mood that it was just going to be a punishment. So for the entire week, I just tried to bribe my parents into letting me go to the football game instead of this stupid community service extra credit project, but they were not budging. They insisted that I would go so that I could get a good grade in the class. Now, honestly, I don't think that I would have thought this would be so bad if I could have at least brought a friend, but I had to go to this alone. So I was going to be going to this random place, calling people, telling them to vote for somebody that I didn't even exactly support, and just spend my entire Saturday doing that instead of hanging out with my friends at a football game. So I wake up at 7 in the morning on my Saturday so I can shower and take the 45-minute drive out to this place, and as soon as I get there, it just looks like this deserted building. And so I take a deep breath and I start to walk inside. Now I get inside and it's myself and a couple of other adults. One guy who looks like he's on the verge of dying, I swear this guy might have been 90 years old. A younger guy who's about maybe 20 or 25, and then a lady who looks about in her mid-30s. So the younger guy comes up to me, and he's the guy who's in charge, and he tells me, hey man, you can either call people or you can go outside and wave the sign at people. Now I decided that this sign would be much better, so I decided I was going to do that to begin with. Now let's just say I didn't quite think this one through. I didn't realize that I was going to be holding a sign above my head, waving it, saying vote for this guy in the 100-degree Florida heat. So that was just a stupid decision on my part. So around this point in time, I decided I might as well make the most out of this community service project, so I pulled out my iPod and I started dancing around with the sign. So about after 20 minutes of dancing in this hot Florida heat, I did start sweating, but I turned around and I noticed that there was this hobo who was staring at me and just laughing his ass off. Now, though this was probably one of the most awkward things in the world, it also was pretty funny. Just seeing him laugh at me started to make me laugh and kind of put me into a good mood. So he went on his merry way, and I decided that I was going to go back inside and ask the man if I could call people instead of waving the sign. So I got back inside and I started talking to the guy, and he was actually really cool. He said, yeah man, that's totally fine. Whenever you said you wanted to hold the sign, I thought you were crazy, but now I see that you're all sweaty. Come on in, we'll get you a phone, set you up. So basically, they gave me this cell phone that had a permanently blocked number. Now, for those of you who don't know, whenever you get a phone call from a government agency, it doesn't show up as the actual phone number. It'll say block number or restricted number or something along those lines. And so that's exactly what this cell phone was. So they gave me this little piece of paper that I had to read off of. And basically, like I said earlier, it was, hello, my name is blank. Please vote for blank, blank, and blank this coming blank. Thank you and have a great day. So right before I was about to make my first phone call, the lady behind me taps me on the shoulder and says that it's a lot of fun to not use your real name and to just use random names or celebrity names and just see the people's reactions. So I used this as the golden opportunity to have a bit of fun now. So basically what I started doing was saying, hello, my name is Michael Jackson, or hello, my name is Michael Jordan, or anything along those lines, and it quickly became into a contest, I guess you could say, of who could have the funniest name, like Dominique Paxlaglovich, and it was just turning into a lot of fun. So then I decided that if they said that they had already voted or that they weren't interested, that I would have even a little bit more fun with them. So basically then what happened is anytime one person said that they weren't interested or that they already had voted, I basically would just turn it into a regular conversation and have a lot of fun with them. I would ask them questions like what are they doing later and if they wanted to go out to dinner with me, and just try and make it as awkward as I possibly could. And the funniest thing is that all these other adults were just cracking up at me, and I felt like I was the freaking king of the world. So then, to add on to having a great time dancing with hobos and prank calling random people, they supplied free all-you-can-eat Chick-fil-A. Now I know Chick-fil-A isn't worldwide, but for those of you who don't know what it is, it's pretty much the best place to get fried chicken or fried chicken sandwiches, and it was just a lot of fun, and I ended up having a great time, and it was just so crazy to see how something that I thought was going to be so bad turned out to be something that was so much fun. So after having about 5 chicken sandwiches and a whole lot of sweet tea, I decided that it was time to go home. It was about 4 o'clock and I headed home. The person signed my little community service slip and I ended up getting a great grade in that government class. So guys, that's the story of how I prank called my way into an A in government. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave the video with a like rating. It helps me out a lot, and I'll catch you guys later. Deuces.